Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So today we're going to be talking about a game that I feel hits close to home and is most likely going to be very appealing to gamers that play in the RPG looter space. And that's Marvel's Avengers. Now, many of us who played The Division or maybe who play Destiny know that this game was actually supposed to be released earlier this year, but the development team went ahead and, postponed the release. I don't know why. I think maybe because some people had basically talked about how they didn't want to compete with some of the other releases around that time, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, or maybe there were some other things that were involved, like maybe the game probably not getting to the point of fidelity that they wanted it to, and the game was not released. But now that, we're starting to see more and more information about this game, I guess the initial comparisons of the game to Destiny are actually much more true. The game is a game that has multiple heroes, so pre-selected characters. I think these characters are going to act like classes in their own sense because every single character is going to be very different in their design of how they attack and play the game. And then they have a base of operations. The game has a co-op side of it. It has a mission structure where you can level up every single character separately, playing through character-based missions or, different kinds of missions, war zones, vendors, factions, and faction missions. All the things that RPG games check off the list to actually make them solid additions to, gaming in general. And if you look at everything that the development team has shown so far, it is actually, in my opinion, very interesting to see that one major player is actually coming into this space, and they look like they're coming into this space to actually compete because they are coming with a wealth of a wealth of tools that can help them compete. So first of all, this game is coming with the Marvel name. Now, I understand that a lot of people basically are not necessarily much into the Marvel characters regarding the video games. It's like for the past decade, they've all basically been relegated to, movies and the cinematic side of things. And I can understand that because that's initially how I felt when the game was first announced. And when I was looking at everything, I was like, well, this seems like an interesting concept, but I don't know what it's going to look like. But now that the game's details are starting to come out and you start seeing a lot of the similarities that other looters and other RPG games share within this game, it is not surprising that many people are starting to look at what's going on and get on board. And the development team is actually bringing the game in a community developer style, relational manner by actually having a portal where players can actually go and get information from. They're calling it the War Room. So this is RPG, looter shooter, MMO online game type marketing strategy that they're doing. And it seems like they're building a solid foundation. So if you look at some of the other things too that warrants anyone to actually look into this game, you have to, look at what games you already play and games that you like playing. So if you play The Division 2, if you play Destiny, I think this game is definitely going to be a game that has something that might appeal to you. I'm not saying it will, I'm saying it might appeal to you. One of it is the game is a third-person game. If you're a Division player, this is definitely something that I feel will be unique to you. The Division game, as one of its major selling points, is that it's a third-person game. A lot of people who basically like or exclusively only want to play third-person games will most likely gravitate towards the Marvel Avengers game. If there are any other third-person games out there that people are playing, that they feel like they can engage in, maybe even some people that enjoy Fortnite on a casual level may find themselves maybe engaging in this game little by little, who knows. And that's one thing that I feel the game brings. The second thing is it's an RPG game. Now, this is where the MMO community, your Diablo, Dungeons, the kind of gameplay RPG aspect that, these games bring, to players. This is where you're going to see players who actually engage in those kinds of games actually have their interest piqued by Marvel Avengers. What is in this game that's going to make it an RPG game that people will like? Well, you look at each character having their own skill tree, having their own leveling up system, having their own supers, their ultimates, all these things that they can do. In fact, in the reveal, they showed Thor and how he's able to use many of his abilities to counter, different enemy types and different enemy, security parameters, and even use some of his own moves to buff his entire team for even a specific amount of time. In fact, on the gameplay reveal, they even had a timer about 6 seconds for one of his buffs to last. This is something that RPG players basically enjoy doing. Now, the depth of the mechanics of the RPG have not been released, so I can see maybe Division players probably, if it's not as complex, many Division players may say, well, it's not really as complex, it's a little more simplistic, but we don't really know what level of it is. But at the same time, Destiny, which has a much more simpler RPG system than the Division 2, might also, be a place where players from there might benefit and say, well, this seems a little simple, a little easy to pick up, and players will be able to spend more time looking for things that they want, like gear, weapons, or did I say weapons? Well, they're all supposed to have their own customized or their own personal weapons or whatever it is. And if you look at another aspect, you have to also consider who's developing this game. The game is being developed by Crystal Dynamics. It's going to be a very solid studio behind this production. Now, many people have said, Crystal Dynamics, it's kind of one of those studios that they don't really know what to expect. But I have to speak from my own personal experience. I've played 3 major Crystal Dynamics developed, or backed titles, and that's the Tomb Raider series that was done as a reboot. So the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we all know, was actually, on the front end done by Eidos, I think Montreal, and then Crystal Dynamics was kind of like the backing studio for it. And I think the reason Eidos went ahead and was given that project by Square Enix as the major players was maybe because they were working on this Avengers game. So Crystal Dynamics probably didn't have enough of the capacity to, start putting, both games together. So it was nice for them to use the help of another Square Enix studio that's actually worked on another Tomb Raider game with them. And so this is one of the interesting things is if you've played a game done by this studio, then you know that they're capable of bringing good games to the market. Now, because this is an MMO game, it will probably be somewhat of a new territory for them. But at the same time, it doesn't negate the fact that they have a reputation, at least, rather than just them bringing some random stuff to the market that nobody has ever seen before. Now, yes, this game is going to have to compete against, like I said, Warframe, The Division, Destiny. But at the same time, it's going to be a game that's being made with a studio that has good experience in making very solid third-person experiences. Now, the challenges, though, will be in execution and how they plan to bring all this stuff together. One thing we've seen in RPG games is, there's so much that goes into doing them that if they don't make things simple and they try to make things complicated for hardcore audiences, they might botch a lot of things. And another thing is if they make things too simple, then they might turn off a lot of the people who like RPG games. Nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see how they put this game together. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm really interested in this game. For those of you who don't know, I've actually been covering this game and following it on my other channel. I do a lot of other content there. You can check it out for yourself. So I'm really looking forward to playing it. And I thought I'd just point it out for those of you who actually are playing this game and see what your reasoning is about the game. Is it a game that you see yourself playing? Is it a game that you're going to touch? Is it a game that, you'll probably wait till it goes on sale, or is it a game that's going to be day one for you? Let me know in the comment section. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. I'm playing it anyways. It doesn't really matter whether you say you're not going to play it or not. I'll be very happy to engage in a game like this, especially in the month of September, because Cyberpunk doesn't come out till November. So, the game basically will be a very good, fun alternative to play maybe alongside if you're playing Destiny or if you're playing The Division. So I guess those are my thoughts about, Marvel's Avengers so far. I'll be bringing a few updates here and there, talking about a few things. Hopefully you guys, are looking forward to it as well. And I guess that's it for me. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.